Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you can catch spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so for this one I want to talk a bit about the Outriders, where they're from, what they're capable of, and some of that may change for the film, and I'll explain why as we get further in. But more than just talking about what they can do and where they came from, I also want to hone in on the value that they bring to the Black Order or the Children of Thanos from a narrative standpoint. So now in 2013, when we saw the Infinity event and we saw how it unfolded in issues of New Avengers, and we also got the Infinity title series, this time around, instead of seeing Thanos run around collecting different Infinity gems, we got to see this concept handled in a new way. And that's when we got the Black Order, who are also known as the Children of Thanos, and they're pretty much your reverse Avengers. They're pretty much your worst of the worst in the universe, and they were put together under the leadership of Thanos with the purpose of taking that all apart. And so also back in 2013, shortly after we got the introduction of the Black Order, we also got the introduction of the Outriders. So first things first, the Outriders, they're not a race. Not to the extent to where they're born how they are, but they're manufactured for a particular purpose. And in their introduction, the Outriders would work for Corvus Glaive, primarily for the purpose of seeking new worlds. And many of these worlds were sought out just to be destroyed, but also if Thanos was in search of something, the Outriders would cover more ground. Your second wave would be the Black Order or your Children of Thanos. Then finally, if necessary, Thanos would show up himself. But the Outriders were like your first wave. They could get information from a number of locations, narrow down the search, and from there, once the information is collected and reported back to Corvus Glaive, that Outrider would be beheaded, and the information collected will be shared with the Children of Thanos and Thanos himself. And during this process, they could look through the information that they have absorbed or collected just like looking through a hard drive, or arguably even more efficiently, because they can reach directly into these thoughts or memories that the Outriders have obtained and use that information to map out an invasion or extraction. And so now the Outriders have a number of abilities. They can render themselves invisible so they can move undetected, they can manipulate their density to the point of where they can phase through some objects, and I believe they can cloak their scent. The scent thing is one I'm not sure about, but I only say it because I've seen them sneak past Wolverine before, and that's like the only way. Like the only way I could see that happening. But he was also drinking on the job that time, so who knows? But that's one of those things that I put out in theory, mainly because they were designed to extract information and be undetected. And so the next ability that they have is a level of telepathy. And they're only able to do this when contact is made. And sometimes when we see it done, the hands kind of phase through the head of the person, much like when we seen this happen to Black Bolt and he gave up the secrets of the Illuminati. Like once they get in a person's mind, they nearly have access to everything that person knows. And there are rare exceptions to this. For one, if the person has telepathic abilities, they'll be able to fight back this invasion of their mind, and it really depends on the level of their telepathic abilities when they'll break free, or even if they'll break free. And the questions kind of linger, like if someone has strong will or even a strong mind, could they break the hold of an Outrider? And off the top of my head, I really couldn't think of anybody. If you guys know some instances, leave them down in the comments. Like let me know what issue you saw this happen, and I'm talking about somebody without powers, because I'd like to look into that. But just as an example of someone with and someone without, the way that Black Bolt was discovered was through one of the Outriders probing the mind of one of the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then using that classified information in order to find his location. Either that or that guy was playing Galaga and the Outrider just really wanted to know how to beat that level. Like wouldn't that be crazy? Like the Outrider goes through somebody's mind and all they see is like pew pew, and it just looks at him like I just wasted my time. That would be crazy. But another example is Black Bolt. Now he has a level of telepathy, and it's not like any of your ridiculous mind control or Professor X level, but it's more so to the extent that he can consciously resist people from entering his mind and just entering his thoughts at free will and having them make him do whatever they wish for him to do, which is pretty critical because if somebody were to take over his mind and just make him speak, it would be a wrap. Like they could just tell him look in this direction and yell, and whoever was there would just get blown away or just dusted, like just turned into baby powder. But either way, he can consciously keep people out of his mind, and that's the main reason why when he was attacked by an Outrider, the Outrider waited till he was asleep. But even then he could sense that something wasn't right and that his mind was being probed, and he pushed the Outrider out of his mind. And this leads me to the next thing, because as far as fighting, Outriders aren't really like fighters, which is very contrary to what we saw in the Avengers Infinity War trailer. And I mean that referring to the scene in Wakanda where they're fighting and you see Black Panther fighting against one, you see Cap knocking the mess out of another one, and that more so looks like them following an order to retrieve something, and everyone else there is really just trying to fight them off. And part of that we mainly know because of the Entertainment Weekly article, which told us why they're there in Wakanda. I won't mention that here in case someone doesn't know, potential spoiler. If anything, I can talk about that in another video and just put up the spoiler warning. But yeah, Outriders, they're really not fighters. They got 4 arms, but they really ain't got hands like that, you know what I'm saying? They're more likely to kill to maintain a level of secrecy, or they'll just cut and run. So don't think of them as soldiers, they're more of like your spy assassins. And more often than not, you'll see them kind of float and phase through an opposition rather than just tear down everything in their path. Like, they'll only take that route if it's the only way that they see that there is to execute the order that they've been given. Because when it comes down to it, for these guys, that's all that matters. Whatever order is given by Corvus Glaive, that is their purpose till death. And they will do anything within their means to get their information back to Corvus Glaive, who they already know is going to take them apart, but they're designed to do this willingly, because that is their sole purpose. And for Thanos, on countless occasions, this has been very efficient, because these things will come crawling back with limbs missing, just to get this intel back to the children of Thanos. Like, they will stop at nothing. And it's for that reason that they've been so effective, and they've been able to bring back so much valuable information to the children of Thanos from so many different worlds. And this is one of those things I hope to see in the film. And it doesn't have to be too long and drawn out, but just something short to establish to the audience how creepy these guys really are. So when it comes to the point where we see one pop up on Earth, we're all looking at the screen like, okay, I know what that is, and I know that's not good, because that would mean the children of Thanos are not too far behind, and Thanos is just around the corner. And we've had similar renditions of this executed before. Like, for example, with Corvus Glaive, when he visited the Ogulix people, whose population was over 60 million. But when he visited their planet, they sent their champion, who was the symbol of unifying their whole race, over 60 million. They sent their champion to kill Corvus Glaive, and Corvus brought back his sword, broken, before the leaders of his people with this bone-chilling smile on his face. And I don't know about you guys, but I really need Corvus, the Outriders, the whole children of Thanos, I really need them to have this vibe on them in the film. And what better way to deliver that than just a brief glance into where they've been. And since the runtime for Infinity War is about 2 hours and 36 minutes, they really do have enough time to flesh this out. And that's even with consideration of all the other characters that are included, because with everyone else who's appearing, many of them have been seen in other films before, and they don't need the time for the character development like Thanos or the Black Order do. And like I said, there's nothing that would take a long time, and in its entirety, it can be done in like 5 or 10 minutes. But I really believe it will just be a great way to set up the Outriders, kind of like a crash course, so that when we see them on Earth, we know what's next, and it's like that first hint of the beginning of the end. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm sure there's plenty of ladies out there that wish they could use this to see if their dude was up to no good, but you probably gotta talk to Thanos about that. I don't know if he leased them out or anything like that. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.